Hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus here with you on Wednesday, July 5th. And today we have a quick video about an exciting Wall Street Journal alert that came in today. Maybe you already saw this. Fed officials ready to start winding down portfolio within months. Federal Reserve officials in June ready plans to start slowly shrinking the central bank's large portfolio of bonds. So, a notice that the Fed's going to unwind its balance sheet, which I'll file that category in. I'll believe it when I see it myself. For the simple reason that, I don't know, I guess I have a different perspective on these things. I gave up thinking that this is some legitimate institution that's really focused on the well-being of the planet. Keep in mind that the Fed is actually owned by the same banks that melt things down every couple of years. So factor that one in and make of it what you will. Maybe I'm just a crazy conspiracy guy. What do I know? But in either case, assuming if we took the economy as presented in the media on its face value and thought about whether the Fed's going to actually unwind the balance sheet, it's taken them, it was 2008 when we started, I think, the zero interest rate policy. Here we are 9 years later, and interest rates are 1%. So whether they realize this or pretend not to know it, in either case, there's a whole reason that you don't lower interest rates in the first place. A simple example being if, let's say, someone can afford 4% interest, and above that, if interest rates are 5%, person's not going to take out the loan. So the Fed comes along, says, hey, well, we'll lower interest rates, make it 0%, and with no payments, of course, a lot of loans get taken out, and that's where you hear the cheap money coming from. Problem is that it's always supposed to be temporary, so really what you have is a system set up where there's a temporary distortion, the lowering of the interest rate, which incentivizes someone to take out teaser credit. Then the interest rate goes back up. And if someone couldn't afford the 5% payment before, if you're saying we're going to lower it temporarily and then normalize it, essentially that's why the housing bubble had to collapse when it did, because you had all of those loans and all that credit that was taken out when you had the zero interest rates, or even have zero interest rates back then. But when interest rates have been lowered, then finally Greenspan started raising rates, and what happened? Well, the whole thing collapsed because it's unsustainable, and that's why you've seen this pattern of just keep printing and borrowing and layering it on. Yet now my belief is that it's not designed to work in the long run. I don't think it was designed as a great system that's supposed to benefit the people. It's been corrupted by a lot of different forces, whether you call them banks or governments or otherwise. But in either case, when you see that the Fed's going to unwind its balance sheet and raise interest rates, who knows, maybe they will. Although if they did, we were already seeing the job numbers slow down now. Just imagine what happens if they actually do that. My guess is they continue to print, and when you have a printing press, it's like the only tool you have is a hammer. Everything looks like a nail. So I personally wouldn't count on it. In either case, I think if you raise interest rates, that brings back in a lot of these bubbles that have been inflated. If you keep printing, that's why it seems to me that the system that we've grown up living through is on its way out. And learning about Bitcoin and just understanding that a big change, whether it's Bitcoin or silver or gold, but just seeing that there is a change in the world coming. And that's not always the easiest thing to accept and recognize. I remember 9 years ago, I was a guy sitting on a trading floor realizing the whole thing seemed unsustainable at some level. And but I think the fact that we start thinking about these things and sharing ideas and just finding other people who have a similar perspective, which is what I try and bring for you here each day. And think that's what we can do. And if you have any other questions about that, leave them below. Hit the subscribe button. Thanks again for watching. And yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about that balance sheet coming away anytime soon, but should be fascinating. I do think we're going to see an exciting summer, especially in the cryptocurrencies. So we'll stay tuned.